Welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Mann. Today we're back with the Den of Thieves. We got the fellas here, and my boy Carl came up with a great idea. He had an idea to do what's called the Mount Rushmore of bourbon. So what we kind of had to do was give Jared a little bit of direction, because he went all over the place and said, you know, hey, well, what? And I'm like, dude, it's got to be something you've tried. So we're going to pick 4 bourbons that we've. And everybody's going to have a different list, right? You know, because not everybody's going to agree on this one. But
I thought we were going like one Japanese whiskey, one rye whiskey, one.
You don't even know one rye whiskey.
You don't even know one Japanese whiskey.
Jared did not understand the assignment.
I could name one rye whiskey. I can't name one Japanese whiskey though.
Yeah.
There's one rye sitting. At least
there's probably a Japanese whiskey over here someplace. I don't know. Anyway, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to come up with 4 bourbons that each one of us have tried on our individual, and it's going to go on our Mount Rushmore. Like, these are the bottles that we think are the best. And then I think we should probably at least do an honorable mention for like a bottle that we like. This is the bottle I want to try, and I'm assuming based on what everybody else tells me about the bottle that this is going to be a bottle that would be on my Mount Rushmore. Does that sound fair, fellas?
Sounds perfect.
All right.
Hardy har.
So we're drinking a little Good Times right now. This is like their first or second honey barrel. I'm trying to remember, but Nick and Jimmy gave me a little sample of this, and this thing is it's delicious. I mean,
Are you sure they just didn't dump a bottle of honey in there on top of it?
I have no idea.
It's amazing
because it is thick, but it's very tasty. So thanks to the fellas at Good Times. They've got a new label coming out called Bridle and Bit. It's I think it's all going to be all rye whiskeys. I think they're all going to be older, like 7 years or older. So that'll give you a little bit of things on that. But hopefully I'll be meeting with them soon to discuss that one and try a few of their new products. So all right, Mount Rushmore of bourbon. And I said bourbon, but there could be a rye on there as well. Oh, yeah. I didn't tell you that, so I guess we could have messed that up real bad. But I've got a rye on mine. So
my honorable mention is going to be a rye.
So we're going to go from there. So John, let's start with you. You got to pick your first bottle. It doesn't have to be your favorite. It just has to be one of your 4 on your Mount Rushmore.
I'm going to go in swinging. The very first one that I had a couple pours of it over at the Exchange pub in New Albany, and it was about $20 for an ounce pour. But it's called Midwinter Night Dram.
Okay.
It is a rye blended whiskey out of High West.
Yep.
I loved everything about it: the taste, the bottle labeling, just the fact that it's very elusive and hard to find.
Do you remember what batch it was?
I don't remember the batch. I know that they do straight rye whiskeys that are like 4 to 7 year old whiskey blends, and it was like a 98 proof. So
gotcha.
For a rye, it just hit the mark on everything.
Just hit them all.
And it's like a unicorn one, because now I can't find it anywhere.
They are hard to find.
And if you find one, it's going to be roughly $300 or so to get one.
There were some at Total Wine probably about 8 months ago. There was like 6 of them on the shelf, and.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I passed them up so many times before I ever had them.
And a bunch of guys were in there, and like I had one in my hand, and then this lady comes up, and she was like, "Oh, I was trying to get one of these for my husband. He said he wanted to get it," and I was just like, "You know what? Here," and I gave it to her. And Patrick was like, "Dude, that's so nice." And after she left, Patrick went back to the bag, and he got me a bottle of like 4 Roses single barrel strength, and I was like, all right, this nice. It's a nice consolation.
Yeah, I take that.
It's not the midwinters, but yeah, I get it. So solid pour. All right.
It was a solid pour. It was really it was probably the most complex bourbon or rye whiskey that I've had, and I don't like a lot of cinnamon in my drinks,
right?
But I picked up on a very nice cinnamon spice. It reminded me of like a Christmas type drink. So something you would, definitely have in the colder months. Just really lovely. Just one of my standouts that I remember.
I'm assuming, because I've had a few of the midwinters, it wasn't probably more like a snickerdoodle, like cinnamon and sugar.
More like a candied, like fig,
candied pecan or fig or something.
Fig, yeah.
Okay.
It was really interesting, just different than anything I've had before.
Gotcha.
And just I love the presentation of it too, because
all the bottles are great.
I'm a very presentation oriented kind of person, very visual, and I just think it was just one of the most unique ryes I've had.
Gotcha.
No burn at all, considering it was 98 proof.
Jared.
Yeah.
Give me a bottle, man.
No. That's it.
End of podcast. Thanks for coming, guys. Tune in to Bottle Talk.
JTS Brown Bottled and Bond. Is that what you're
That's what he's going with.
Goddamn right.
Cheap bastard.
No, I would probably keep it pretty basic at the beginning. I'd probably go GTS. I've had a couple different batches.
You gotta pick it. You gotta pick a year, man.
I don't know what any of the years
Oh,
were.
my God.
I'm sorry. I don't
What is
remember.
this? Amateur night at the Apollo?
Fucking yeah, right? It is. God damn.
For him, it is. Granted, I'm not much better on
I
two
think
of
it
mine.
was. We were discussing a little bit ago. I think it was 17 or 14.
I think it was a 17
I'm thinking
that GTS
yeah.
was.
So I've only had the smallest sip of 17, so I don't really remember. Like, by the time that I had tried it in the night, I probably could not give it an honest assessment. So that's one that I want to get a full bottle of and like really blind it up against like 18, 15, and 20 because they all are similar on the
That's the only
ABV.
one we've had. It's a 17.
And I couldn't give you any like true notes off of it or what I thought of it outside of it was just really, really fucking good.
All right.
So
Mine would have to be Old Carter, either batch 4 or batch 5. I can't remember.
Both
I-
delicious.
I was over at Westport Whiskey and Wine and in their tasting room and seeing a bottle that hadn't been opened. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it.
So was it the bourbon or was it the American whiskey?
It was the bourbon.
Gotcha. Yeah. Both of them are good.
It was like 120 something proof.
Yeah.
is one harder to find than the
128.
other?
So I mean, Old Carter. I mean, they are very very limitedly distributed. But I will say, like 4 and 5 back then. I mean, like they still weren't super highly like sought after. And I guess the main reason why is because a lot of people didn't know how good of like blenders that Mark and Sherry were. Plus the price point, right? Like at that point, there still was a lot of sticker shock for most people because I think they run around 189 to 209 a piece back then. So.
I think it was like 150 at that moment.
And they might have been at that
But
moment.
I think because Timothy Von Ripper was actually, he had never tried it and
Yep.
ended up trying to actually found a bottle and bought it on the secondary. But I'd love to have found another bottle, but
Gotcha.
I haven't been able to find
Okay.
one I'm willing to pay for yet.
Gotcha. So on my Mount Rushmore, my first bottle, I'm going to go with Wild Turkey Donut, the Kentucky Legend bottles.
One I'd
That
love
is
to have.
So that to me is just, that thing is the bee's knees. It's delicious. It's got some old Wild Turkey funk to it.
It's
got
a
some
cool
caramel.
looking bottle.
It's one of the best looking bottles.
It's a cool
Agreed.
bottle. It's
So
neat.
so I agree with John on the presentation. Like it just adds so much to it as far as that goes. But just a delicious pour. And there's a bunch of wild turkeys that I could have put in there, but I wanted to get like my Mount Rushmore. I figured I had to break it up by distillery because I want to give everybody a little bit of props. So, all right, John, number 2.
Number 2 is the Larceny Barrel Proof.
Okay.
And it's actually, I was trying to find the exact batch that I had, and it was batch C921.
So was that one of the earlier ones?
That one
or was
is
that
a
like
2021.
Okay.
2021.
So that's when they did the price drop. So it's
Yes.
okay.
So they took it. It went down to like $60. I
Yeah,
mean,
they were $99.99 for quite some time.
Yes, and now they're like 150 or
Yeah.
more. So I loved it. It had a kind of a praline, almost a cream soda nose, and then it again just more complex than most of the bourbons or the rye that I have. Just really loved it.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to you, Jared.
Number 2 would be Parker's Heritage Heavy Char. Oh, it's a good bottle. I looked into it, not the bottle, but I knew I have a buddy that had a bottle, and he let me try it a few times. And damn, that's one of my. If I could ever find a bottle of that,
I just traded for one.
oh, it's so good.
I literally just traded for one. It's not open yet, and I'm trying to decide when I want to open it. It's
Yeah.
going to be a special occasion
I
bottle.
feel you.
So, but yeah,
It's
all right.
so good.
It is very delicious. All right,
Mine would have to be a Joseph Magnuson cigar blend.
really,
I think the one that came out in 2020.
gotcha.
I was another Westport. I was there for a lot before COVID ever happened, and
So it sounds like somebody lives at Westport Whiskey and Wine.
I used to. I was
Got
there
a
every
cot in the
day,
back.
like every weekend. I was
No,
there.
they're
at
just
least
giving them the
once.
dirt floor.
Somebody called Charter.
But I loved it. Actually, my wife loved it. That was the first time I ever having a cigar blend, or what people call a cigar
Right.
blend. It was just had enough heat, had enough flavor. It was just a perfect blend of everything for me.
Gotcha. All right, my number 2 bottle, and I hated to do this, but it's probably actually my favorite of the four is the 2016 GTS. 144 hazmat, just delicious caramel. I mean, but it's hot, but like it doesn't drink anywhere near proof. I mean, just one of my favorite pours of all time. So I don't know, just absolutely it's the nuts. I mean, of bourbon, it's just fantastic.
It's the nuts.
It is the nuts. It's really good. I mean, anybody will tell you, but. And my thing is there's a few of the early ones that I've not tried, and some people will say 07, 2011. Like there's some other older GTSs that people say are just like completely crazy, way better than the 16. But to me, the 16 right now still holds steady. But I've not had some of those older 07s, 11s, things like that. Or I tried them and don't remember because it was so early on in my bourbon drinking days as far as that goes.
So was that one that, like, one of your first bottles you actually purchased of the GTS?
No. My first bottle I ever purchased was probably a 2014 GTS, and those were like $59.99. They sat on the shelf. Nobody bought them. Like, literally sat on the shelf. God. Like,
my brother was working at Liquor Barn at that point, and he remembers Pappy 23 just sitting on the shelf.
23, 21... I mean, 23, 20, 15, all those would just sit on the shelf. Weller 12 was literally set on the bottom shelf with dust on them.
If we could only go back.
Yeah.
Simpler times.
Hindsight is 2020, right?
No, we don't want to go back to 2020, Scott.
No. I said hindsight is 2020. I didn't say I was going in 2020.
We're just taking a big expo marker to 2020.
Absolutely. All right, John. Back to you.
Number 3.
One of our first distillery experiences we went to as a family, because we, like my in-laws' families, we all started kind of going to different distillery tours and things together, and it's really a fun event to do as a family. And one of the ones that I really enjoyed was the Evan Williams experience in downtown. I just think, considering it's a small place, they really impressed me with the tech side of things. Just making it really fun for the space that they had. The presentation was just phenomenal, exactly. And I remember they had an Evan Williams 12-year red label that you could try at the end of the tour, and that one was really, really nice.
I didn't know you bought one of those, or did you just try it?
I never bought it, but I tried it, and because it was pretty expensive at the time, at least for me, because we had not really started to get into the bourbon or the whiskey purchasing like I do now. I have a problem.
We all have a problem.
But I just remember that the 12-year was something that made me really curious about like more higher end bourbons. Just to a guy that like has never bought anything at that point more than a Four Roses single barrel. That was kind of like my first go-to.
Not even a barrel proof or barrel strength, just a regular.
No, because I didn't like the barrel strengths at that time. I was still pretty young into bourbon, but I remember I really was impressed. And maybe I can actually tag that in with the Master's Blend that they sell there. I do like the Master's Blend, and I love the 12-year Evan Williams. And I was even impressed with just the single barrel Evan Williams. So maybe my third is just kind of the Evan Williams experience.
Lineup.
Yeah.
For the price, Evan Williams single barrel was great.
Yeah.
All right. Jared.
Number 3 would be
Numero tres.
Ofo President's Choice.
Which batch?
Not this batch. This is batch. I can't read.
You can't read?
Barrel number 22. The most. I think it was 21. 2021. I mean. But it was I think the 2019 or 2021. I can't remember. It was super good. Again, another buddy had one, and I got to steal some sips off of it, and just damn good. First time I'd ever had it, and it was just I couldn't say enough good things about it. It was so good.
Gotcha.
Mine would be Wild Turkey 13-year.
Wild Turkey 13-year.
Basic Wild Turkey 13-year. I have a Japanese bottle.
Gotcha.
That I just love, but it's one of those I could probably just drink and not realize I'm down the whole bottle. So,
yeah. Well, it is lower proof, isn't it?
I think it's the 86 or it's either 86 or
I was about to say, I think they're 86 or 90 or something like
that. It's a lower proof, but
yes, it is low proof.
I just for some strange reason I love that bottle.
Those Japanese bottles, man, they throw people for a loop all the time.
Your damn turkey head.
So
Don't say anything bad about turkey.
I love turkey. I'm just saying, you're a turkey head.
So I'm oddly enough, and I very, very much hate to admit this because I'm going by families. I'm basically picking a bottle out of my favorite of every distillery. I have to agree with Jared. Parker's Heritage Heavy Char is one of my favorite bottles.
So good.
It was really, really hard between it and the Heaven Hill 17 year. Both were very, very good, very, very flavorful, but just something about the Heavy Char, just like the caramel notes and everything else that came off that one, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I do remember it having a real nice dark like fruit note or something like that.
Yeah.
In there that was, or a coffee note or something like that. That was
It does. It's almost like
so good.
Yeah, it's almost like a chocolate covered coffee bean with a little bit of like cherry. I mean, it's just got so many like crazy notes that come off that bottle. It's so good.
Some bitch is dark too.
Is
Is
very
that
dark.
a common thing to find, or is that more elusive to find as well?
It's
They do a different
pretty damn
release
close to
every year.
unicorn now. I mean, I traded about $800 worth of bottles for it. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I think they go for between $900 and $1,100 a piece
Oh
now.
my gosh.
Parker's Heritage does a different release every year.
They do,
Different.
yeah.
I'm sorry, different style release.
Yeah, they did a weeded Heavy Char this year.
Yeah.
Is what was the big release this year. The Heavy Char regular bourbon
done
was like last year, the year before, and then they did in between those they did a rye. I think if I remember
they
correctly.
did a curacao, I think, at one point in time as well.
Yeah, the curacao.
It was-
not a big fan of the curacao. It was
it was
not bad,
weird.
and some of the early Parkers were great. I mean, they were all really, really good. But if I'm going to pick something out of the Heaven Hill family, I think that's probably the one I'm going to take.
Do you still have the one that do you still have that bottle? Jared?
I didn't have it. It was a buddy of mine had it.
Okay, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah.
He doesn't have it.
Yeah, I don't have it. No, that thing's dead. Like DEAD dead.
I'm guessing I know who had it.
Yeah, you know who had it.
Yeah. All right.
Mr. Scott Reed.
Yes, Mr. Sky Reed is the one that has had it.
So number 4.
I'm just gonna. I mean, again, I feel like I am not the most educated of the table here in the Den of Thieves. I like what I like. I really like this Elijah Craig single barrel from Huber's. It's a private barrel, 11 years old, 123 proof. I just think it's sweet. It's buttery. It doesn't burn like an Elijah Craig to me.
Right.
I'm just really happy with the product that they produced there,
'Cause
and
you
it was a fun. I associate like drinking with experiences, and so
As you should.
That event that they did was really great because we picked this up and then got a tour of Rickhouse 1 with Ted Huber, and basically we're drinking, I
believe that was the first time we
remnants
met
of,
Scott too.
We met Scott there.
I'm sorry.
We met
Josh.
Josh and I became drinking buddies that night, and we were drinking swell whiskey that was pouring out of a barrel.
Oh, Josh. That was not a good night for Josh.
It was a fun night for the rest of us.
I was not there, so it wasn't a fun night for me.
I will
was
say
doing wedding
that
stuff.
the quarter pounder with cheese never tasted better
They
after
were
that night.
Royale with cheese.
The Royale with cheese.
I had barbecue chicken pizza at Huber's. The barbecue chicken.
You remember the food you had
cracker
after
pizza.
that
I
one.
definitely remember after that night.
I think we all needed food.
Rick
after
House
that.
1 and that batch of 17-year-old grape brandy, state brandy. Oh my god,
That was
so
lovely.
good.
Blew our
It was
minds.
delicious.
I've never really had brandy, so
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm missing out on.
I've never had brandy before that, but that was lovely.
yeah.
It was a good night for sure. Were one of your all's families there, like your mom or dad or something?
That was his.
My
Yeah,
parents.
it was his parents.
My parents.
It was us.
He had to
Both my
go for
sisters.
wedding.
Yeah.
I had to go.
Your mom had her arm around me like part of the way through the night. She was talking to me and asking me about something. And then Carl was there, and like Carl's like, "They do a podcast," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do a podcast." She's like, "Really? Tell me all about it."
That started it all.
She'll probably listen to this, so I will keep my comments to myself. Keep my jokes to myself.
She may not even remember that, but it's one of those
Oh,
funny
I'm sure
things.
she does. Oh, I'm sure she does.
I don't know about that.
So nice little snuggle up there.
I know it's not the most, it's not the most complex of bourbons, but I do enjoy it. So,
Number
and it's good memories attached
Gotcha.
to it, which
All right.
is all for good.
Jared, number 4.
Number 4, I got the opportunity to try some Old Forester birthday bourbon straight from the barrel because a buddy of mine, I think works down at Old Forester or something like that.
So can you really pick something that isn't technically been released?
Apparently, it is.
I am. Fuck yeah. I mean, I got a backup if you want me to, but
No, it's all
I
good.
mean, I didn't
I'm gonna
choose
let
the
you
one that
slide.
your mom's got right now. So the 180 something proof.
Yeah. That was good too, but the birthday bourbon straight from the barrel was very good.
Gotcha. You don't know what year it was?
Again, I think it was like 2019, 2020.
Gotcha. 2019 was delicious.
It was.
So,
It was one of those. It was somewhere in that time frame.
Gotcha.
It was good though. I'm just killing dead air until
I know.
Carl gets ready.
Carl's like,
I just went blank for some strange ass reason.
the wheel's still spinning, but the hamster's dead.
I think it was. Yeah.
Pretty much at this point.
It's just watching the hamster just fall from the top every time we get to the bottom.
It's a 2019 Shanks.
2019 Shanks, really?
I actually really love.
Yes.
I have an 18 that's open and I have a 19 that's open. Both are wonderful. They were very earth first, like heavy, earthy tones.
Yeah, got the rye for sure.
And as soon I let them sit for a little bit, and they really opened up. I just prefer those over most things, actually.
Gotcha.
But I can't find those particular bottles now without paying a whole lot more than what I was willing to pay for them, because my buddy actually went to Keg on Christmas Eve and picked up the 2019 release for me.
Gotcha.
Because they released it on Christmas Eve for some strange reason.
Yep.
He sends me a text while I'm in church. I see it. I wish I could have it. He went down and picked it up, and I just paid him back for it.
Huh. There you go.
It's just one that I will always remember, that one.
Yep. All right. Well, here, there we go. There we go.
Almost fucked it
Get
up.
that magical sound.
My hand slipped at the beginning.
Yep. That's what she said. All right. So for me, I can never not have an Old Forester product on my Mount Rushmore. Everybody knows I love the OFO. So this one was honestly my hardest one to pick out, and it's because I love so many of them, but I'm going to go with the President's Choice Batch 3. I mean, it was delicious. One of my favorites. I don't remember the exact details on it. I wish I could find it. It's empty. The bottle that I had is gone, but it's just... Man, it was just so good. But President's Choice Batch 3, I was going through my notes, and like there was like caramel and apple and like just all kinds of just very, very, fruit forward notes, and had all kinds of delicious goodness that was with it. It was so creamy and had a ton of legs to it. But that would probably be the one that would sit up there for my Old Forester product. And it was tough because I really loved the 117s. And I was trying to decipher, like, is it Warehouse K or is it this? Is it, like, which one do I go? Because I really love the Warehouse K. But then I was like, but 1910 Extra Old is really, really good. Like, it was one of those things where, like, literally beat myself to death over this. So, but that's where I landed. I landed with President's Choice Batch 3.
Do you remember where you got that from?
I bought it from the distillery. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I got lucky. And the funny thing is, so Josh, OFO fanboy, he got Batch 1. The first week that they opened the distillery or whatever, went on a tour, got Batch 1, never opened it. It sat in his house for forever type thing. And then Batch 2 got released. We all missed that. Batch 3 got released. I got a tip that it had been released. So I ran down there like as fast as I could. I was able to get a bottle. And then I went out to the parking lot, cracked it open, took a sip of it, and I was like, oh my God, this is really good. So I literally was just trying to buy a bottle from somebody as they were leaving, like, because I knew I wanted a backup. I could not get a backup. And at that time, it was kind of nice because they hadn't taken off at that point. So I ended up buying a second bottle about 4 weeks later after I'd already killed my first bottle of it, and got it, and I milked it for a lot longer, but it's now long gone. So
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. That's right.
Sad.
Got a lot of those. So. All right, now for the honorable mention. What's a bottle that you've heard a ton of hype about, knowing the other products that are in that suite of products? What would you put on your Mount Rushmore? We're gonna start in a different order this time. We're gonna start with Carl first.
That would be Whistle Pig Boss Hog.
A Whistle Pig Boss Hog. Is there any particular batch or?
Really, any of them, because that's the one I've never been able to try.
Gotcha.
Never been able to buy. I've seen them, but I've never had the money to fork over for. Yeah. It's like a $500 to $600 bottle.
Yeah,
retail.
Yeah, the early ones were like $3 something, but yeah, I get it.
By the time I really got into Whistle Pigs,
yeah,
it was already up the higher end market. It's like,
so you,
my job did not allow that, nor did my wife.
The MGP, man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go to John second this time.
There's a Michter's. Oh gosh. Of course, my notes are non-existent, and I'm trying to do this from memory. But Michter's had one, and I don't know it, because President's Choice is OFO. It wasn't a Michter's toasted.
Was Well, you got the 20 year. You got the.
I think it might have been the 20,
25 and the celebration.
Yeah. Yes, that was it.
Which one?
The 25.
The 25. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think that would officially, like, if I owned that bottle and had that bottle, that would make me feel like I made it.
Yeah.
If I was smart enough, I would have bought the bottle I was offered when I was at the Maker's Distillery one day.
There was a bottle of 20 or 25 in there.
Yeah.
Oh my
What?
God.
It was just like right after they opened. Me and my buddy just happened to walk in, and I was broke. I was like,
Because for something like that, you're going to get people that immediately purchase it regardless of
Yeah,
the cost.
they're very Well, for one, I mean the secondary market value is just stupid on those things. But yeah,
Have you had that one before, Scott?
I've not had 20, 25 or the celebration, which oddly enough is going to be one of my picks. So everybody tells me the 25 is just a little too oaky.
Okay.
So I'm not a big fan of Pappy 23 because of the oak. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be the Mick 20 for me because everybody says that it has enough of the oak, but not overly powerful on the oak. But it honestly, I could probably flip a coin and say either Michter Celebration or the 20 year would probably be the ones that I would pick. But I'm going to stick to my guns and say 20 in this situation.
Cool.
Jared?
I'm going to go with a bottle you definitely can't find unless you're buying it off of somebody, and that's the Four Roses Al Young. And apparently that is...
It is nasty good. It is so good. It was actually almost on my list. Yep. I was trying to decide, but I could only pick 4 families, So and it honestly probably almost replaced the Parker's Heavy Char. But the Al Young 50 is just it is delicious for sure.
Yeah, and it's a cool bottle too.
Yeah,
I know. I've house that for somebody that has one. It not open, and I looked at it, and he looked at me, and he said, "Don't touch it."
Don't think about it.
I said, "Yes, sir."
I've seen that bottle.
I'm not touching it.
He just sat there looking at it.
He also had some Four Roses limited edition barrel strengths, and I looked at those, and he said, "Don't touch them." And I said, "Okay."
I'll show you a picture when we get off here, and you'll be just enamored. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Those bottles are really nicely displayed.
Yes, they are very nicely displayed.
Yeah.
That's a really nice decanter too. That has, I think, some of it in it.
Are there any other honorable mentions, like something that you're sitting back and like you were really torturing yourself, like I really need to add this one, but you didn't get to it because you're like you could only pick 4 bottles, and then the other one was one you've never tried?
Yeah, that would be Rare Breed Batch 1 from 1991 or 2.
Gotcha.
I have a little 50 mil of the Batch 2, but I want to try Batch 1 and just haven't either found the bottle that I'm willing to pay for or found something to try from.
Gotcha. All right.
Bardstown Discovery Batch 3 or 4 were
delicious.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Delicious pour.
I debated putting those on there.
I think I've actually had that one.
I've had all the Discovery series.
Because those were still with the hockey puck.
No.
No.
Was that right after hockey?
That was right after the...
There's still the heavy-weighted cap.
Right, but yeah.
But
okay, I think I had one of the hockey.
I don't think
pucks.
the hockey puck is Discovery
Or
series.
what-
I think that's a
Or is that the Fusion?
I think that's a
That's
finish.
the-
No, that's a different
Isn't
finish.
that the Pfeiffer Pavé? It's the big hockey puck, the big thick one.
I can't
metal.
remember. It's been a while since
I don't
drank
think
it.
it's. I think it's one of those.
I think it's the Pfeiffer
or something.
Pavé.
I think it's a
Okay.
different finish.
My bad.
No,
Yeah,
you're all
you're
good.
good.
Listen,
Jake
everybody-
Shiomi soda.
can't remember everything. And listen, if you've been drinking a bunch, you're like, I couldn't really remember that day.
I mean, it's Carl's like
That was
20th
probably
pour,
like-
so.
5 or 6 in.
yeah,
So
For 6.
5 or 6 in.
I used to be bad about that. Going to
That's still pretty
a tasting
young.
room and
Carl drop $100 just on tastings.
easily.
Yeah.
Well, if
I'm
I couldn't
just
buy the
kidding,
bottles,
but-
I might as well spend the money.
All right, John.
When you have an ad.
No, it's something he could be something he had. He just
Oh,
couldn't decide
okay.
whether or not he was going to put it on the list or not.
Might be. Oh, I'm sorry. We were back there. Never mind.
I'm a Weller fanboy. I really love the Weller 12, and so I mean, again, I'm not educated. You guys are on like batch numbers and older bourbons, but if there was a really good old bottle of Weller 12, that would be up there.
So for me, and this would, and the reason I didn't do it is because GTS is my favorite pour of all time. But the 2012 William LaRue Weller
I'd love to try
is
some.
like, it's delicious. It's just one of my favorite pours of all time. And I don't remember the year, but I want to say it was like an 06, 07 Pappy 15. And for some strange reason, those old Stitzel Wellers and the green bottles were so much better than the Pappies you get today. But those are the two that, like, whenever I was thinking about Buffalo Trace, I'm like, what do you put on there? And then I was like, yeah, it's too laissez-faire or too, cliche to put a Pappy on there. So I was like, GTS is my favorite pour. I love it. So I stuck with that. But man, I'm gonna tell you what, that 2012 William LaRue Weller was a special pour.
Just nothing like
good.
it.
Yeah. So
speaking of Stitzel Weller, have you ever tried Blade Bow 22?
I have. To me, it's not worth the price tag of their retail price.
Is it worth trying one time?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you could find a pour and it was in the $50 to $60 range, it would probably be worth just trying it, because it's a good solid pour. But it's not a $900 bottle to me.
Because I had it in my list of stuff I haven't had that I'd love to try or own a bottle of.
And I think the MSRP around $550 or something like that, $499.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's an expensive bottle. So
by itself, yeah.
Of the ones that we've talked about, do you think there's like an ultimate, like, number one, just from the ones that we've?
Oh, the ones we've talked about. I mean, obviously for me, I mean, I'm going to go with the GTS, but because that's my fanboy thing, right? But
GTS is good.
But there's a lot of different things that are out there. But there's so many bottles I could have named. I mean, that could go on this list, and people would. I'm sure if you ask 40 other people, you're going to get 40 different opinions,
right?
Of what their Mount Rushmore. If you've never had an 07 handy, I mean, fucking
I've never
delicious.
had any of those.
You never had any of the Thomas A. Chandies?
Just the
07
GTS.
Handies.
I don't
only.
even know what that is. What is?
So it's part of the
another
BTEC
BTEC
collection. So you have Handy, you have Eagle Rare 17, all those. So
that was on my one I haven't had.
So SAS 18, some of the earlier SAS 18s, like 14, 15, 16, like some people say that those things are the bee's knees. If I was going to put a unicorn of all unicorns, but the problem is I've always heard that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, was the Eagle Rare double Eagle Rare, double Eagle Rare.
That would be awesome.
But that's the unicorn of unicorns. I mean, it's a $25,000 bottle.
Wow.
Is it $25,000
for the early releases? Yes.
Yeah.
So like the one that was just released last year was like, I mean, they're going for what, 9,000
on secondary or retail?
Secondary retail.
Oh,
no,
I'm
retail
sorry.
they're like 2,300, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's where I got off track with you.
Secondary. I mean, you're talking. I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah.
I probably only know 2 people that have ever cracked a bottle of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that
I've
essentially
never
a double oaked version
It's double Eagle, very rare. It's,
Yeah.
I assume a 20-year-old Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it comes in this awesome decanter bottle.
Crystal decanter, got a big crystal eagle on the top. I mean, it's just beautiful
Comes in a cool
presentation is all
box.
presentation.
Oh, man.
It's like the OFCs.
Yeah, OFCs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd love to have tried one or try one.
Yeah.
But
So I had the 1995 OFC, which came out because they're all 20-something years old. So I would have been, I don't remember what year, but anyway, I tried that one. It's delicious. I almost bought a bottle when I was in Florida just because that was the year I graduated high school. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to have, but
the price point.
I looked at the price point. I was like, man, for just to sit and collect dust, because it would truly just be a collector's item for me in that situation. I would probably never open. I decided just not to do it.
I think the only one I've ever seen was like $5,000. I was like, that's a car. That's a used car. No thanks.
And it was good. It just wasn't. It wasn't like the greatest thing I've ever had. Like I wouldn't even put it up against any of the BTAC stuff that I've tried, or especially some of the earlier batches. Like just nowhere near it. So.
Shit, that displays that's beautiful.
Talking about the double eagle rare.
Yeah,
Yep.
right there.
It's phenomenal.
It's crazy.
Was that in a crystal eagle
Yep.
stem?
Decanter
stopper.
and
Oh my
topper
gosh.
and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
So. Well, guys, I appreciate the conversation tonight. I love everybody else's perspective on it. It's kind of fun that to hear different things. Like I was expecting a little bit more out of John. I thought he would throw a little bit like. It's not because the bottles that you chose weren't like what I would consider upper echelon or anything like that. It's just. It's funny how people have these palettes and how everything is different and where everything hits. And honestly, I honestly thought you were going to say like a Starlight Embryonic cask or something like that, because I know you guys love some of those things, and I love them too.
I was
thought
close
about
to saying
putting
that.
batch one on there.
But batch one was delicious.
Batch one was my favorite.
But so I was more of a rye than a bourbon guy. So like I love the ryes. The first batch of ryes
never
were
got to have
absolutely
the rye.
phenomenal. So
I have not tried the rye.
But I'm going to tell you, there's going to be some dudes out there that are going to be like, dude, that's the most unique thing I've had in the last 10 or 15 years of drinking bourbon. But I will say this. You either love that bottle or you hate it. There's nobody I know that's in the middle.
Love it.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
I love it, but I put the Joseph Magnuson before it. So
Yeah.
I had one cigar batch already on there.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I get it. 100%. I'm glad you got a finished bourbon on there.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Like I said, it's
got a
always
heavy char.
Yeah,
It's
you
not-
did.
it's
Well,
not
but it's not really finished.
finished.
I mean, technically, yes, it is finished,
It's-
but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is. Well, all right. This is Bourbon Barrel Talk. If you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, the old Twitter. You can email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. This was the Mount Rushmore of bourbons, and we had 4 perspectives, all different and all new. So I appreciate the idea. Great quality content there. So we appreciate you guys. This is Scott, John, Carl, and Jared signing off. Peace out.
Later.